And welcome inside Armstrong Fieldhouse. I am Rich Phillips, and what a big day it is here on the SMU campus. We get you ready for the first ever game in the ACC for your SMU Mustangs hosting Florida State at 7 o'clock tonight. Be sure you join us on the radio call over on 96.7 and 1310. The ticket beginning at 6:30 with the pregame show. And I say us because my broadcast partner is Scott Garner, who's with me as well for the Pony Up pregame show. We got a lot to go on the show today, including we are going to talk men's basketball. Andy Enfield, the SMU first-year head basketball coach, will join us. We'll pick games at the end, and Eric Dickerson, the all-time leading rusher in SMU history, will be on the show with us today as well. We'll talk a lot about Florida State as we go on, but we'd be remiss if we didn't enjoy 66-42 a little bit more, would we?
Way remiss if we didn't enjoy that. How scrumptious was that game, Rich? Oh, my gosh. And I don't know where to start. How about a 17-point lead before we had even played 10 minutes? And it just set the tone, and I thought it just made for a tremendous day. Of
course, that was the battle for the Iron Skillet last week, SMU beating TCU. You rout your rival.
Yes.
You scored 3 non-offensive touchdowns, all on huge plays. And the coach got ejected. I'd say it was a pretty good night at the ball yard.
I think it's a great night at the ball yard. I've never heard Ford Stadium so loud. What a great game. Some have even speculated maybe the best game that we've had since the 80s.
As far as games I've been a part of, it's definitely top 3. The others are the first bowl game we went to in 2009 and winning the conference last year. And that's about the only things I could come up with that compared with how big of a night that was last week.
I agree.
It was kind of weird. SMU had the football first in that game, stalled out a little bit, kicked a field goal, and then the offense didn't come back until the second quarter. It was like 40 minutes of time before the offense came back on the field. You had a Brandon Crossley 51-yard fumble return and Roderick Daniels Jr. a 69-yard punt return for that 17-0 lead you referenced.
At that point, I kind of quipped on the radio that, we better be careful because we may end up with more points than yards if things don't change a little bit. It was that kind of day.
Rhett Lashley told me the other day if they hadn't been – they had a score and then a timeout, and then there was a kickoff and a timeout. He said if that hadn't happened, he was going to call timeout on defense because he was worried they were going to get gassed.
No doubt.
They were on the field so long. The offense did eventually get things going. Brashard Smith had a terrific night, 18 carries, 127 yards, 3 touchdowns, plus he caught a touchdown pass. He's got 380 yards in the first 4 games. He's had at least 70 in all 4 games this year.
It's been fantastic. 18 for 127, as you mentioned, Rich, but a career high, 190 all-purpose yards. This guy's been fantastic and continues to get better every week. His reads have been tremendous, especially I thought last week, was able to finish off runs, not just running between the tackles, but knowing when to make that cut and when to get vertical and how to get vertical. And remember, this is a converted wide receiver. He did not have a lot of experience at that running back position coming in, and he has just transformed himself into a tremendous player, but knows how to get it to that second gear. That's what's so impressive about him. It's knowing when to be patient, knowing when to bounce, and he doesn't bounce it too much. Sometimes you see guys that go from wide receiver to running back, and all they want to do is bounce, but he has not been that guy. He's been so valuable, and Rich, given the state of the running back room, we really need him.
Yeah, because, of course, Kamar Wheaton was lost before the season. Jalen Knighton this week became official. He's out for the season, and we don't know about L.J. Johnson tonight. He is questionable after suffering a concussion in last week's game. As for Brashard, he's 8th in the NCAA in total touchdowns. He was that close to another touchdown on a kickoff return last week. That's the other part of his game, and that's where he was preseason all-conference. He was all-conference last year in the ACC at Miami because of his kick return ability.
And I think it was the BYU game where you and I were sort of confused because we thought for sure that it was going to be targeting on BYU on a player, but I went back and I watched the replay, and I thought, I think we missed that one. But you and I said on the air, there's a little bit of grass, a little green between his foot and the sideline, and I think we got that right. I think they absolutely missed that.
Also last week, Kevin Jennings, his first start at home. He was 14 of 19, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also ran for 41 yards on 10 carries. And, he's played in all 4 games this year. He hasn't been sacked yet this season, and I think that's going to be key tonight against this Florida State defense, too.
No doubt. And one of the things I love is our offensive line and how it not only has been protecting, and again, we only threw the ball 19 times last week, but Jennings did a fabulous job of using the RPO as a decoy, the play-action pass. It's going to be so key today. We're going to talk more about that. But I want to go back to when TCU was able to cut the lead to 3, Rich. We were up 17-0, things going great. And when they cut it to 17-14, when TCU cut it to 3, I started getting a little bit concerned, Rich, I got to tell you. But the very next drive, SMU ends up scoring a touchdown on 8 plays, 68 yards. And remember, that was the drive where Moochie Dixon, of all wide receivers, was targeted not once but 3 times. He made 2 really important catches, I thought. That big one for 13 yards over the middle. It moved the sticks. But twice in the second quarter, when TCU scored a touchdown, SMU came right back and scored themselves. I thought that was huge. That happened 4 times in that ball game. I thought of all the things, I've heard breakdown after breakdown of this game, but I really believe that was key to that ball game. I've not heard anybody talk about that, but I'm going back and looking at the notes, and I'm watching the game, and I'm like, we responded every single time. I don't know that anybody's talked about that, but that is absolutely huge, Rich.
The head coach has.
Oh,
I have heard Brett point it out.
All right, good.
And he said that's what was kind of one of the magical things about last year's team that won the conference.
Right.
They responded.
Okay.
And he said that's what he told the guys yesterday after practice. That's exactly what you have to do. You have to respond because these games aren't going to be easy. You can respond a lot easier, too, when you're 5-1 in the turnover column, as SMU was last week.
Incredible.
Including 2 interceptions from Ahmad Moses. So on that 60-yard return he had for a touchdown, I was told he was clocked. They have the little data trackers on their gear. At 22 miles per hour.
Wow, he was good. Hey, he was everywhere, not just on the interceptions, but he was everywhere. I thought his pass coverage was great. Ahmad Moses, a tremendous weapon for SMU. And talk about getting better and better. Our linebacker room has gotten better, but Ahmad Moses and the safeties, we knew they were going to be big coming into the season, but he was everywhere, going sideline to sideline. His anticipation, his IQ really surfaced, and I thought of everything that we saw from him with the 2 interceptions. I thought his football IQ benefited us the most.
All right, tonight it's the beginning of ACC play for SMU, the first time ever. Florida State, only one of the standard bearers of college football the last 30 years, is coming here to Ford Stadium today. They're only 1-3, though, as they come in, posting their first win, 14-9 over Cal last week. Early season losses in the league to Georgia Tech and Boston College. The shocker to Memphis a couple of weeks ago has them a little bit restless in Tallahassee about this team.
Yeah, and they need to be a little bit restless. They haven't run the football. They've scored a total of 60 points the entire year. You know, when you've only rushed the football 66 yards a game, and you are right now 17th in the league, last in the league, and 130th out of, I think, 133 teams right now.
Yes.
When you're that far down, it's cause for concern. But one thing that has me concerned, Rich, is that their quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei, got better as that game progressed last week. I've not seen that out of him this year. We have not seen that at all. Again, he's had a long release, writing some notes down, some wasted motion in that release. Looks slow when he's running the ball. I don't know if he's gained some weight, but he's not as explosive as he was last year. Just hasn't had a lot of quickness as far as that goes. He's been throwing balls into coverage, particularly on 3rd down and long. Did that last week too. But he's improved, as we talked about. He has started stepping up in the pocket, did that in the second half, and he started stepping into his throws, getting on top of the ball. So playing with juice, as we saw in the second half, has me a little bit concerned. I still think the SMU Mustangs, if they play the game that they're capable of playing, we're going to be okay, but we're going to have to earn it tonight.
It is exciting. The ACC is here. The ACC Network will televise tonight's game, 7 o'clock here at Ford Stadium between SMU and Florida State. But you can turn them down and listen to us. Scott and I, along with Steve Lansdale, will have the radio call beginning at 6:30 with our pregame show on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket. It's on the SMU app, also on Channel 193 on Sirius XM satellite radio. And, hey, we talked about Rashard Smith. He'll be my pregame guest on the radio broadcast tonight. We had a lot of fun talking about the battle for the Iron Skillet. Let's look back at some of the highlights from last Saturday.
We got to have that attack mentality. We got to be aggressive. We got to cut it loose. I think we've done that fairly well the first 3 weeks. You make the choice to focus. You make the choice to show up on time. You make the choice to get out of bed. You make the choice to pay attention in the meetings so you can carry it over to the walkthrough in the practice. You make the choice in practice to go so hard it's uncomfortable, but if you practice your ass off on Tuesday and Wednesday, it'll give you a chance to play better on Saturday.
It's a beautiful Texas rivalry. The battle for the Iron Skillet. Of course, the SMU Mustangs are going to host the TCU Horned Frogs here. SMU switched quarterbacks. They named Kevin Jennings the starter. Is that going to make a difference? Because SMU has not looked great.
You know, the Dallas mayor wore a T-shirt that said TCU inhales briskly. Or sucks.
I'm going with the Horned Frogs in the close one. TCU. SMU's got these quarterback issues where they're trying to play two guys, new guy. Nobody knows what's happening. I like TCU.
It's a movie. I like new guy. SMU, actually, they'll move the rock. I like SMU to win.
Finally, another not so fast. I got two on it now. SMU wins the big one in the city of Dallas. Big game.
Hey, play with incredible passion, but in control. Right? Passion for each other, but in control. Let's leave no doubt from the first kick, every play in between to the last kick about our physicality. Leave no question in anyone's mind who the most physical team was and never flinch. All right? I love you guys. I'm proud of you. I believe in you. Can't wait to watch you play.
Down at 5. They give it to Johnson, and a big hole is chopped down up to the 48-yard line. 51-yard field goal try. He hit 5 field goals his last game, and it is right down the can for Colin Rogers. First throw for Hoover, incredible protection, and if you give him that protection, more times than not, he'll burn you, but great closing speed. And they hand it off. And that ball is loose as Hoover took it. It is picked up and streaking down the sideline. It is an SMU touchdown for Brandon Crosley. Draw to punt it away. And this is returnable from the 31-yard line. Nice couple of fakes and down the sideline. Inside the 40, the 30, the 10. Touchdown SMU for Roderick Daniels Jr. And then they kicked him out to left tackle this week for the first time. He goes out again. And there's Smith to the end zone for a touchdown. Boy, what a great play that is right there defensively. Into just outside the 2 for a first down. Jennings rolls, throws, and that is a touchdown. What a throw by Jennings as he connects with Jordan Hudson for the score. SMU has 2 timeouts remaining. 4-man rush. Throwing down the sideline, and it is intercepted. This is Amon Moses. Is this another defensive touchdown? It is. That's big time. You got Van Bruno. Van run down the sideline by Smith, coordinator. Time for the 49-yard try, and it is good. What a finish to the opening half for SMU. The TCU will get the football to begin the second half, and look out right from the get-go. Here's Jordan Bailey, and he's going to take it inside the 20 and takes it to the house. There is a penalty flag and this.
During the return, holding, number 3 on the return team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Johnny Dykes is thrown out of the game. So Dykes, this is going to be a long walk back to that TCU locker room.
His team. And it all comes back to that second offensive play by SMU, that forward progress call. They're Michigan getting the win.
Cross the middle, wide open receiver. And on to the races down the sideline inside the 25. It's a third down and 11. TCU looking for a defensive stop. And the quarterback flushed out of the pocket, throws across his body, catch made, first down. And is it a touchdown? It is! Third down.
went for the onside kick because technically it's a 3-possession game.
And that is a touchdown. Rashard Smith.
Hey, let's do this, man. 2-1-4, man. The skillet is back in Dallas.
46-42, SMU wins the battle for the Iron Skillet with the TCU Horned Frogs last Saturday night. Tonight, 7 o'clock, kickoff between SMU and Florida State. If you don't have your tickets, listen to us on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket. It's already sold out for tonight. Let's get to our segment called Rhett to the Point. These clips with SMU head coach Rhett Lashley from his Wednesday night show, the Pony Express show, over at Ozona Grill and Bar, and here on the SMU Mustangs Facebook page as well. You saw it in a lot of those highlights. Coach sees it too. Crowd was incredible last Saturday night.
That's the atmosphere we need, week in, week out in the ACC. That's what Ford Stadium needs to be known for. Our fans were incredible. I have no doubt it'll be probably even crazier this week. And that's what we want our program to be. You know, when you're winning, they energize us for things to snowball like they did, and our guys feed off of it. And maybe when we're struggling, they're there to help pull us out of it and let us come back and win. And that's what the home field advantage is all about.
In that 66-42 win, defense was huge. They had 5 takeaways in the game. They had 2 scores by the defense. But Rhett says it wasn't just about the scores and the turnovers from the defense.
We stopped the run. They ran for about 65 yards, and like 25 were on the last drive of the game. We stopped the run, made them one-dimensional. They're really good at that one dimension.
Yeah.
But you see what happens when you make somebody one-dimensional. You know, we had the sack fumble, but we had a lot of the times we maybe didn't sack him, but we affected some inaccurate throws. We had 5 turnovers, 3 picks. You know, it just you can't be one-dimensional and sustain it for 4 quarters very often, and that's what we were able to do. We're effective, and, of course, the spark play, scoring points is always good.
That certainly is good when the defense puts it in the end zone twice for you, and the special teams a 3rd time with the 3 non-offensive touchdowns. Scott kind of alluded to it a moment ago. This is what Coach liked the best about last Saturday night.
The best thing about the whole game is you started seeing versions of what our team was all about last year. Is every time something happened, we responded. You know, they made it 17-14. We just fumbled. What we do, we go right down the field, score a touchdown. You know, I think that's the drive. Ja'Kai got a little banged up. Come out of timeout, we hand off, run the power, go 35 for a touchdown. That's a statement. That's a powerful, physical football play against somebody we want to do that against. And then, you know, they go right down and score again. What happens, offense goes right down the field. Kevin makes a great throw to Jordan for a touchdown on 3rd down, and then we snowballed from there. But just the way we responded each time is what we got to be able to do, because that's how games are going to go for the most part. I wish every game we'd score 3, almost 4 non-offensive touchdowns and get ahead 17-0, and we're going to work on that. But, I mean, that was big. It just, at the end of the day, it was as good of a team win as I've ever seen.
This week, Florida State is here for the first ACC game. The Seminoles are 1-3, but Rhett says despite their record, there's no denying the talent this team has.
The best thing about the whole game is you started seeing versions of what our team was all about last year. Is every time something happened, we responded. You know, they made it 17-14. We just fumbled. What we do, we go right down the field, score a touchdown. You know, I think that's the drive. Ja'Kai got a little banged up. Come out of timeout, we hand off, run the power, go 35 for a touchdown. That's a statement. That's a powerful, physical football play against somebody we want to do that against. And then, you know, they
obviously not the right one there, but yes, he does tell you, despite their record, you cannot deny the talent that Florida State has. The Rhett to the Point brought to you by Origin Bank. They sponsor the Pony Up pregame show. Origin Bank knows what strong teams can accomplish by working together. Origin's trusted advisors help you keep your financial goals within reach. Get the right people on your team today at Origin Bank, member FDIC. Time for our view from the sideline, and our sideline reporter on the radio broadcast joins us now, Steve Lansdale. Welcome, Steve. I'm sure, like all of us, you're a little excited to see a blue blood program here in football tonight.
This day has been a long time coming, and yes, I'm excited just like you guys are, just like the fans who are going to be packed into Ford Stadium are.
All right. Just like last week, another important night for the defensive line, but their plan of attack might be a little bit different against this FSU offense tonight.
Exactly. A week ago at this time, we talked about needing to get pressure on TCU quarterback Josh Hoover, who basically had been untouched by opposing defenses prior to playing SMU, and therefore he hadn't thrown an interception. Tonight it's different because you've got DJ Uiagalelei, who is not as accurate as Hoover, but he's enormous. He's listed at 6'4", 252. A lot of people think he's bigger than that, and so he can run. He also has a huge arm. And so you're going to have to hit him in order to force errant throws. The passing game has picked up a little bit the last couple of weeks, and you want to keep him off target, make him uncomfortable. And also, if you get in the backfield, then you can disrupt the running game, which is only averaging 66 yards per game for the Seminoles.
And he's been a little susceptible, too. They've given up 11 sacks already through the first 4 weeks.
He's big, but he can be brought down.
Last week, obviously emotional playing a rival. This week, emotional because we venture into a new world here this evening.
Exactly. A week ago, it was the fans dislike each other. The schools have played against each other for 100 years or whatever it was. Tonight, Florida State comes into town, and that is one of these marquee blue blood programs. It's a different animal. These players, Florida State has been one of the top teams in the country longer than these players have been alive. And so it may not have the same historical rivalry that TCU does, but you're going to hear the chant. You're going to see the chop in the stands. You're going to look across the line and see the Florida State logo. I mean, look, Florida State brought fans to a women's soccer game here a week ago, and Nicole Nelson's SMU team did pull a 1-1 draw against the defending national champions, but it will be a different vibe. There are a lot of Florida State shirts and hats out on the boulevard right now, so how the Mustangs respond to seeing that kind of a team across the line of scrimmage, a lot of what goes on the sideline, some of it will be X's and O's for sure, but some of it will be coaches and older players helping to maintain emotions throughout the game.
We don't get to hear the music, though. The band had to cancel their trip because of the hurricane this week. I was kind of disappointed.
I don't hate that.
I kind of was disappointed.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that.
All right, that's our view from the sideline. Steve Lansdale, he's our sideline reporter on the radio broadcast tonight on 96.7 and 1310. The Ticket. The Mustangs have a coal miner on the team this year. Let's find out more with Brees Orenson.
It's hard to win, and you can lose for a variety of different ways. I mean, I think the three teams they lost to, we all see are really good, and Georgia Tech and BC are a lot better than people thought they'd be. But
do we need to get out of this?
Brees Orenson here with Isaac Pearson. Isaac, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, great, thank you. So you're a punter here for SMU football. You've had quite an interesting and inspiring journey to get to sitting here today. But you're from Australia originally, so let's start from there. Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, born and raised in Newcastle, Australia, which is about 2 hours north of Sydney. It is a steel city on the beaches. Grew up playing Australian football and cricket and just about anything else that Mum and Dad would let me play. Stumbled into kicking a ball pretty young, and it's led me here so far, so very lucky.
And I've heard you had some experience as well working in a coal mine. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was encouraged by my dad to
try
and
Scott
get into the real world.
Good to meet you.
I was encouraged to apply for an apprenticeship in the coal mines when it was made clear that I wasn't quite good enough to play professional football back home. And out of 1,700 applicants, I was lucky enough to be awarded the position. So I became a third-generation coal miner. My grandfather, my dad, and my uncle, and then myself. So at 17 years old, I began working in an underground coal mine.
Wow, and can you explain a little to me about how in Australia, coal mining is a really sought after and a really interesting and cool job for someone to have?
Yeah, we're very proud of it. It's a proud heritage, blue-collar town, and the mining industry can be quite lucrative. So to be awarded a position was something that was really sought after and high-paying job. It's not something that people turn down. So I was very fortunate to be given that job and very fortunate to have had the experience of working in such a high-pressure environment.
How long were you total working in the coal mine industry?
4 years as a coal mining apprentice, and that was 18 months underground, and then when that mine closed, I went and worked in the open pit mines.
Then how did you end up leaving the coal mining industry and then making your way over to the United States to pursue football?
Came to the conclusion that I wanted a fresh start. I felt like I had something to give athletically, and it just all happened to fall into place. I found that through the Pro Kick Australia Academy I could go and earn a college scholarship, play elite football, and earn a degree that would lead me away from the coal mining industry and towards something that might be a little bit more sustainable for myself down the line.
Yeah, and tell me a little bit about how I've heard Madden did play a little part in that decision as well.
Yeah, I'd always known that there were Australians briefly that were playing in the NFL, and it was when I was playing Madden as the Pittsburgh Steelers and as Jordan Berry that the Steelers punter at the time, that their commentators on the game had made reference to him being Australian. So I googled Geordie. It said that he trained at Pro Kick, and that's all I needed. I called them the very next day and set up a tryout, and yeah, it just started the ball rolling from there.
When you came over here, how has your experience so far been here in the United States and playing now American football?
It's been incredible. Yeah, anywhere around the world doesn't quite compare to college football. The pageantry, the tradition, it's all so much fun, and everything from Saturdays in the fall to in winter and spring when you're going through workouts and classes. It's just, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me today, and enjoy your time here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Great stuff there with SMU punter Isaac Pearson. This is the Pony Up pregame show, getting you ready for SMU and Florida State tonight. But first, we need to talk some SMU basketball, because this week the schedule was officially released with all the dates and locations for the ACC schedule. And joining us to talk about it here is the SMU basketball coach, Andy Enfield. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you.
Full schedule release this week. You open conference against Virginia December 7th. Then December 21st, you go to BC, and then it's full go. And there's Duke coming in here January 4th. Sounds fun.
Well, the ACC is the best conference in America. We're looking forward to it. Our players are working hard right now in training camp, and we're looking forward to the season.
Pretty much a full makeover on your roster. Just 3 guys return, 11 newcomers. What can we expect to see from your group?
Well, we took 7 transfers, signed 3 freshmen. Just recently, a 7'1" freshman, Samet from Turkey. And those transfers come in here. They want to take ownership of this program and help SMU compete right away in the ACC. So we're looking forward to it.
And you call that 7'1" man a freshman, but he played 2 years in Turkey professionally. This guy, he's got some. He's gonna. It looks like he's gonna be able to help us out almost immediately.
Well, first of all, he's a terrific worker. He leads by example. He played amateurly in Turkey, so he was not a professional. As he was graduating high school for the national team, they had him play on a club team.
Okay.
So he does have some big-time experience, but we're looking forward to him coming in and dominating the paint. 7'1", 265 pounds. You have great hands, great feet, very good player.
And Matt Cross, 6'7" transfer. This guy's been at 3 different places, UMass, Louisville, Miami, and now SMU. He looks like a guy who can help us, Coach.
Well, he's first-team All-Atlantic 10 last year. Mm-hmm. Terrific rebounder, really good passer. He's going to be a good player for us.
Sure.
You mentioned Samet, but you've got other guys. I mean, one of the returners, Keon Ambrose Hilton, 6'9", Tibet Gorner, 6'9", Jarrell Colbert, 6'10", Mitchell Holmes, Johan Trehor, 6'11". Size is kind of, I bet, the name of the game to go here to the ACC, isn't it?
Well, we've always tried to recruit size and length. I think defensively we can be very, very good. We have enough length on our wings, interior with rim protection. So that's our goal, to become a really good defensive team first and then work on our offense.
And it looks like some of these guys with some length can get out there and defend on the perimeter.
Yeah, our big guys can switch. We can play multiple positions. We can, if we have to put our center on a point guard, switch a ball screen, we can do that. So we're excited about defensively what we can be this year.
Tell us about your point guard, Boopy Miller, a guy who had some good numbers at Wake Forest last year. What can he do as a catalyst for your offense?
Well, he's an outstanding point guard. He just sees the floor. He gets everybody involved. He knows when to score the ball himself. He knows when to pass the ball out, throw the lob to the bigs. He's just an experienced guard that has high major experience.
I know you can't comment on any specifics, but what is the ACC doing for you out on the recruiting trail right now?
Well, SMU has such a great reputation academically. It used to be a great football school. Now it's back to being a good football school. So SMU is going through this transition period from the Conference USA to the American, now to the ACC. So there's a lot of excitement among recruits because we're the only high major school in Dallas, the only ACC school in the state of Texas. So a lot of these recruits are really excited to come here and just be the reason why SMU basketball becomes a national brand.
You know, in this transfer portal era, Andy, it's so hard for teams to gel early on, and every coach seems to have their secret sauce in doing that. What is yours?
Well, it's very simple. You have to defend it, and you have to share the ball on offense. And if you share the ball and play as hard as you can, you're going to have a very successful season. We're looking to not only be competitive, to win a lot of games in the ACC this year.
Just over 5 weeks away from the opener, November 4th, Tarleton State here. I know you've been to Moody Coliseum as a visitor. I'm sure you're looking forward to being on the right bench this time, aren't you?
Yeah, well, last time I came to Moody Coliseum, we were beaten very handily by SMU, so it's a really great place to play. Moody is, all the fans are on top of you, the student section, and we have great student support for football right now, and we have a sold-out crowd opening night, so we're really pumped up.
All right, can't wait. Andy, thanks for joining us here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Andy
Coach.
Enfield, SMU basketball coach, joining us here tonight on the Pony Up pregame show as we get you ready for SMU and Florida State here. And let's get to our Meet the Enemy segment, by the way. With those Florida State Seminoles here, first ever meeting between the two schools. In fact, Scott, first time FSU has played a road game in the state of Texas as the road team since 1976. It was, of all things, a snowy November day.
Wow, really?
In Denton when they beat my alma mater, then North Texas State, 21-20. I cannot believe they've never come back as a road team to play somebody else in the state of Texas since then.
I'm just glad that Mike Norvell has a chance to get back here and allow SMU to beat him, because he's played SMU 4 times, and SMU has not managed to beat Mike, but I think today's going to be the day.
This, of course, an historic night, returning to the returning as part of the ACC, and they're doing it as one of the standard bearers of college football for many years. They've got 3 national titles.
Yep.
17 of their last 18 games, they have given up less than 30 points. The only time they did give up more was in their bowl game last year when half the team, I think, opted out of the game. This defense is nothing to mess with here tonight for SMU.
Yeah. No, they're good. There's no question about it. They give up still just 20 points per game, which right now is 6th in the league. Still very, very good. Now, they're not scoring. That's a problem. 15 points a ball game. That won't get it done. 60 points in 4 games. No bueno on their side. But, again, what I found interesting is that they ran for over 60 yards in the first quarter last week against Cal. And then it just almost shut down for them. They had a difficult time moving the football on the ground, still managed to win it, didn't give up a touchdown. And we hope that SMU can get off to the kind of start that they got off to last week and, get a little bit of an advantage early.
In their last 2 games defensively, 22 tackles for loss, 10 sacks, 2 interceptions. And they got some beasts up front. Their defensive end, Patrick Payton, 12th in the nation, with 4 sacks, a real long-rangey guy. Joshua Farmer plays defensive tackle, and he's as athletic as any defensive end we're going to see this year.
And he needs to be in their scheme because they run a lot of ET twist, and he's going to end up matched up against a tackle. But I'll say this, you go back and you watch that game against Cal, the Cal right tackle struggled on twist. Every time he was matched up with Farmer, he was very difficult to block. And that I don't know of another tackle besides maybe Harrison Hunt that will give a tackle that kind of a problem. But he is going to be a problem today. He uses his hands so well. We're talking about Joshua Farmer, that number 5 defensive tackle. Uses his hands really well. Did get blown off the ball. I was surprised by this. He got blown off the ball a few times on the inside zone run. We do a lot of that. We'll see how he matches up today.
Since Florida State joined the ACC in 1992, there have been 9 other teams to join the league.
Yes.
They have this tonight is going to be the 5th time they will play game 1 in league play against somebody. Last week was the 4th time they beat Cal. They're 3-1 in those games. This is really odd how they welcome in the new opponents to the league.
I saw that in their notes too, and I don't think it's something that they like. But just the way it was, I think it sort of sticks in their craw a little bit. But we'll see if the Mustangs can give them a little bit of a rude awakening tonight.
Let me give you my stat of the week.
Okay.
33.
Okay.
That is the number of conference opponents SMU has played in the 28 seasons from the breakup of the Southwest Conference to joining the ACC. 33.
Wow.
In that time, they played in the WAC from 96 to 04. That league doesn't play football anymore. They played in Conference USA from 05 to 12. 1 team is left in that league that SMU played, UTEP. And then they played the American where they left as champs last year. They have visited conference opponents ranging from Connecticut to Hawaii, from Boise down to South Florida, and we've been to some outposts like Huntington, West Virginia, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Laramie, Wyoming.
Oh, yeah.
And quite a few times to Greenville, North Carolina.
Yes.
We're happy to be in the ACC.
Yes.
By the way, of those 33 opponents, only 7 of them are in P4 leagues today. Can you believe that?
How about that?
Yeah, Utah, BYU, TCU, Houston, UCF, Rutgers, and Cincinnati. Now all the opponents are in a P4 league.
Yes.
There's my stat of the week for you. All right, time to pick a few games here. Our Pick'em segment each week that's brought to you by Origin Bank. And joining us today, former SMU Mustang Eric Dickerson. How are you? Good. Only a Hall of Famer, both here and in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Only the all-time leading rusher in SMU history. You got to play, of course, in the heyday of the Southwest Conference. What's it like seeing the school get back to that level in the ACC here tonight?
It's a proud moment, I can tell you. We're looking for this for a long time, to play really quality football teams, to have a really quality football program. The football program is coming back to where it was in our glory days, and I'm really happy for the university.
Eric, what did you enjoy most about last week's win?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I couldn't catch you. I was at the golf course, and, man, I was texting everybody. I text one guy. I said, what is the score? And it took so long. He said 17-0. I said, who? He said SMU. I said, okay. Then he says 40-20. I'm saying SMU. So I kept up to the very end, and then I saw the highlights that night. But I was really, really, really happy about it. And I think, like a lot of the students, I was happy to see the coach get kicked out. I said, I don't think I see a coach get kicked out since Woody Hayes got kicked out of a game.
Yeah, the radio broadcasters might enjoy it.
Yes, we did.
All right, you ready to pick some games with us, Eric?
Sure.
All right. By the way, last week, Scott, Steve, and I all went 3-2. I'm 13-7. Y'all are 10-10 on the season.
Oh, we got some work to do, Steve.
All right, starting up here shortly at 6 o'clock tonight, 18th ranked Iowa State is at Houston. The Cyclones 3-0, the Cougars 1-3. Iowa State, Steve, they're trying to go 4-0 for the first time since 2000.
They are, and if they win today, Matt Campbell will have more wins than any coach in Iowa State history. Which
really?
Yes, really. He will break a tie with anyone? Dan McCarney.
Okay.
That's not setting the bar real high, but Houston's also coming off of a game in which it got taken apart by Cincinnati. Give me Iowa State.
Eric?
Well, I got to say this much here. I still haven't forgot how Houston beat SMU 95-something. I cannot pull for University of Houston.
I was in the stands that day.
Thank you. So I'm most definitely going for Iowa State in that football game.
All right. Well, we know Scott's taking Houston because he loves Willie Fritz so much, right?
Well, hey, that's such a rebuild. I don't know who it's going to take. It's going to take more than Willie to do it, I assure you. But, yeah, Iowa State, hey, they were down 13-0 to Iowa. Shocked by this. Late in that ballgame, midway through the third quarter, battled back, came back to win the game. Iowa State, they got a great quarterback. He's got a good touchdowns to interceptions ratio, too, 6-2 right now. They've got a chance. I think they've got a chance to be 6-0. Not only will they win this week, they'll beat Houston. They're going to win the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, Houston scored more than 12 just once this year, and that was on Rice.
Yeah.
Iowa State's only allowing 9.7. I'll take Iowa State in this one. Also at 6 tonight, Tulsa is at North Texas. Tulsa 2-2. North Texas 3-1 with wins over South Alabama, Stephen F. Austin, and Wyoming. Steve?
Between the two of them, they're 5-3. That's not enough to make this game watchable. Apparently, Chandler Morris is still playing, and he's not doing a bad job for the Mean Green. Completing 68% of his passes. It's in Denton. It'll be enough. North Texas wins.
Well, Steve, I don't have all that information, so I don't know. I'm just going to go with North Texas because they're part of Texas. They're here in Texas, so I'm going to go with North Texas.
There you go.
Very good.
Yeah, and that one loss was against Tech, and, boy, they got their brakes blown off in that ball game. Tech, they put it to them. But, yeah, hey, they got some speed. I was shocked by this, watching some film on them. They got a transfer wide receiver, UNT does, from Washington State. He's got a little something there. He's a little shifty. They get the ball to him a lot. They've got some speed at that running back position. And Tulsa always seems to struggle on the road. We've seen that so many years. I'm going to go with UNT as well.
Yeah, Chandler Morris has thrown for 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns. I'll take UNT as well. 6:30 tonight. It's second-ranked Georgia at number 4 Alabama. Rematch of last year's SEC championship game won by Alabama. Maybe a little concern for the Bulldogs after they won their last game 2 weeks ago, 13-12 at Kentucky, although Kentucky just went and beat Ole Miss here today.
Yes, they beat Kentucky by a point. Before that, they also beat Clemson by, 100?
Yeah, close.
So the talent is obviously there. And if you give Kirby Smart 2 weeks to prepare for a game, look, Kalen DeBoer has the misfortune of following Nick Saban. Not a good spot to be in. He's going to win an awful lot of games. His team is still loaded, but not loaded enough to win today. Georgia wins in Tuscaloosa.
Well, I think when you look at Kentucky, you don't think Kentucky has a good football program, but Kentucky's been pretty good the last couple of years.
Yes, they have.
So I think you think Kentucky playing Georgia should blow them out. They didn't. But in this game, I've always kind of been a Bulldog. Even though I didn't go to Georgia. I dated a girl from Georgia, and I can always pull for it. We're still good friends, so I'm gonna go with the Bulldogs on this one.
All right.
Interesting. Yeah, I've got a good buddy of mine that says, hey, if Alabama's ever playing, never go against Alabama. And you take a look at it. Georgia's allowed just 2 plays of 20 or more yards this year. Just 2. That's hard for me to believe. Alabama's quarterback, Jalen Milroe, 5 touchdown passes of 20 or more yards. He's got it rolling. Georgia ranking 84th nationally in rushing. I don't know. I think it's hard to go against, particularly since Alabama struggled against South Florida earlier this year. I'm going to go with Alabama, though, in this ball game.
Georgia is the only FBS team that hasn't allowed a touchdown this year, but they will tonight. I'll take Alabama in this one. And by the way, Eric, we're glad you didn't go to Georgia.
Me too.
7 o'clock tonight. Cincinnati is at Texas Tech. Both 3-1. Both are 1-0 in the Big 12. Cincinnati did beat Houston last week, while Tech took out Arizona State. Steve?
It's going to be an interesting week in which either Cincinnati or Texas Tech is going to lose a game, and neither fan base can blame Tommy Tuberville.
Because he coached at both places.
Who coached at both places and annoyed the fans at both places. But, yes, Cincinnati took apart Houston last week. Cincinnati's got enough and will beat Texas Tech today.
Eric?
Well, I don't know a lot about either one of the football teams, but I'll say this much here. I've always kind of liked the Red Raider. Yeah, you know.
Really?
I went on a recruiting visit there. Didn't want to go there, but I'm gonna take Tech in this football game.
We're glad you didn't go there either.
I agree. Yeah.
Well, hey, Tech can move the ball on offense, no doubt about it. 18th in total offense, 18th in passing. Generally, defense wins, but I think in this game, Texas Tech can outscore the Bearcats. I'm going to go with Tech in this one.
Tech quarterback Baron Morton, 9-2 as a starter. He leads the Big 12 with 12 touchdown passes. I'll take the Red Raiders in that one tonight. And at 9 o'clock tonight, Washington State at 25th ranked Boise State. The Cougars are 4-0, but they're unranked. 2 of their wins are Portland State and San Jose. The Broncos are 2-1. Their one loss was by 3 to Oregon. And I guess this is a Pac-12 preview game?
Exactly. Next year when they meet, it'll be a conference game.
Yes.
Today it's just a preview. Weird things happen on the blue turf in Boise, and it always goes in the Broncos' way. It'll be close. It won't be the prettiest game in the world, but Boise State wins tonight.
Wow, you took my saying the blue field. I was going to say that.
Sorry, man.
That's all right. Like I said, I like Boise State in this football game.
All right.
Well, you know, it took overtime for Washington State to beat San Jose State. I was surprised by that. Washington State gave up 50 points in that ball game. Boise State, they've only allowed 2 sacks, turned it over just 2 times this year. I'm going to go with Boise.
Boise quarterback Maddox Madsen's just been okay this year. Washington State's defense has been terrible this year. They're next to last in the nation in pass defense at 320 per game. I will take Boise State. I can tell you, Eric, the blue turf looks way less unsettling in person than TV. TV,
I've never seen it in person. Is it better in person? Because TV is like, whoa.
It doesn't bother. We played there once back in 2004, I think. Doesn't bother you nearly as much when you're there.
Okay.
But it's still weird. Eric, hey, thanks so much for coming by.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
I know you're going to be part of the coin toss tonight, right?
Yep.
Awesome, man.
Yep.
Eric Dickerson joining us here on the show. We appreciate it.
Go
Thank you.
Mustangs.
And thanks to Origin Bank that sponsors the Pony Up pregame show for us this year. Origin Bank knows what strong teams can accomplish by working together. Origin's trusted advisors help you keep your financial goals within reach. Get the right people on your team today at Origin Bank, member FDIC. And by the way, happy birthday to Warry Birdwell.
Oh, hey.
The vice president of Origin Bank who joined us here early on in the season. All right, it's SMU and Florida State, 7 o'clock tonight at Ford Stadium. Let's give us a couple keys to success here, Scott.
We got a couple of big keys tonight. Number one, offensive line for the Mustangs. They got to fire off with an edge like we saw early in the TCU game last week. Control the game. I thought that 11-play drive was so important to start that ball game. It consumed over 5 minutes. It gave us a chance to kind of settle down. Offensive line will have another good game, I predict, tonight. Number two, got to take advantage of FSU's second level that's struggling to read run and to read pass. Play action passing will be key. Watch that RPO game and watch Jennings throw off that RPO like we haven't this year. I think think that he's going to give them fits in the intermediate passing tonight. Keep DJU at bay, no doubt about it. Being physical in the third. We were so physical with our cornerbacks and safeties against TCU. I thought that set the tone, and you've got to pursue the run early as well. So those are the 4 big keys tonight, Rich. If the Mustangs can do that, I think it's going to be another win here at home.
It's a historic night.
Yes.
For sure. First time we've ever had an ACC game in school history, and you bring in one of the all-timers in Florida State. The last 3-4 decades, they've been one of the great programs with 3 national championships. We can't wait for it to start. Be sure you join us tonight. We'll have the radio broadcast beginning at 6:30 on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket. We're also on the SMU app, also Sirius XM channel 193. You can tune us in as well. The ACC network will have it television-wise beginning at 7 o'clock. We'll do this show next Saturday with an early start. It'll be 9 a.m. when SMU plays at Louisville when we do the Pony Up pregame show. Be sure you join us for that. All right, let's get it going here. A little over an hour away from kickoff. Big night at Ford Stadium. There you see it. Teams on the field now. It's SMU and Florida State. 7 o'clock at Ford Stadium tonight. For Steve and Eric and for Andy Enfield and Scott Garner, I'm Rich Phillips. Let's all pony up.